Would you agree that this is a rather terse reply, in particular the line, "I do not believe that a meeting would serve any useful purpose"?
Yes, it is a terse reply. If I may, though, Mr. Beer, refer you to my written statement, because I can't remember actually reading his original letter. I remember, as we'll come to, no doubt, reading his second letter and taking the view that I should meet him. But I think if I had read that first letter, I would have remembered it because it was forceful and made a case. But I'm afraid that is my memory, and all I can do is go from my memory. I have apologised and repeat that apology for not meeting Mr. Bates on the basis of his first letter.
You tell us in a witness statement that the letter, the one we're looking at, was drafted by officials for you, is that right?
Yes.
It was nonetheless approved by you and signed by you?
Yes. If I'd had both letters in my letter file, in my red box, I would have read both of them. And I'd have had to make a judgment when I was signing all the different letters in that letter file about whether this was an appropriate response to that letter. What I don't recall, and I apologise for this, is whether or not in my letter file there were both the original letter and the response. There may have been, but I don't recall it. And I think I would have done, given the nature of what Sir Alan was writing.
So it may be that you didn't even see the letter in. It may be that the only thing that you saw was this letter, and you signed it.
That may have been the case. I'm sorry I can't be more definite, but we're talking about a long time ago. I just started my post, and I was signing a huge number of letters, and I was reliant on the advice of officials. I just apologise that if that was not the case, and I had read it and I wrote this as a reply, because it is terse.
If you only had the letter out, i.e. the thing that we're looking at the moment, how could you judge whether it was an appropriate reply or not?
I was being based on the advice of officials.
But it didn't come with any advice. All it came with was a letter in draft, as we see here, without the handwriting at the beginning and the end.
Yes, but when you are going through your file of letters, you assume they'd been written, and I was told they were written on the basis of advice from both policy officials and those responsible for that area of policy.
In some cases, there's a ministerial sub, isn't there? i.e. there's a cover paper which says, this is the issue, this is the recommendation, these are the facts, these are the options sometimes, and here is a proposed draft reply. i.e. so you're given a briefing and some context before being asked to sign the letter off.
That's very rare. The vast majority of cases in the letter file within the red box, and I say in my statement on the average there'll be 20 to 25 letters in any one red box, the vast majority were by themselves without any submission. A submission would be very rare.
So the likelihood is on your evidence that you neither received a briefing in order to judge the accuracy and appropriateness of this reply, nor even the letter in to see what you were responding to.
I definitely didn't receive a submission. I'm saying I may have received the original letter, but I really can't remember it. And I think if I had, I would have remembered it. It's possible, because what I've been doing in preparing my statement is trying to think back 14 years to a letter that I wrote amongst many others at a very early stage in my ministerial post. And I just genuinely can't remember. But you're right, that phrase suggests I might have done, but I just can't recall, and I apologise for that.
The very matter that Sir Alan was complaining about was that the post office had, to use his words, acted as judge, jury and executioner.
Yes, of course.
i.e. that there wasn't any independent oversight of what was going on.
Indeed, and when I had the submission for the meeting with Alan Bates later on in the year, both the original letter and the second letter were attached to that submission. I read those in detail before that meeting.
You say, on reflection and with the benefit of hindsight, I'm really sorry that I followed the advice and did not question it. And I can also see why Sir Alan took offence at the phrase, I do not believe a meeting would serve any useful purpose. It was poorly judged, and I apologise to Sir Alan for signing it off. I should have accepted Sir Alan's request for a meeting when he first made it. However, I remain unconvinced that an earlier meeting would have changed the course of events. I expect that I would have put the same questions to my officials and Post Office and received the same categorical assurances about the integrity of Horizon that I did later that year. The hindsight that you're bringing into account there, is that essentially, and I'm summarising greatly here, that the substance of the matters that Sir Alan was complaining about was correct?
That has clearly turned out to be the case.
Yes. So that's what the hindsight is referring to here?
Yeah, the hindsight that we now have, because we now know many, many things that I did not know back then.